be quick. Go. Boom. Hey. Turn and go. If I turn it that way, go. Fine. Come in. Bam. Turn. Go. Back with the kick. Out. Okay, I got it. Kick. Boom. Oh. Kick again. Boom. Bottom. Hop. Boom. Pop. Huh? Did you see it?
Yes.
What you talking about now? Get it. Come on. See? Everybody can see it now. I said no. Come on. Get in there. No. You didn't feel it? You ain't got feelings in your feet? Quickness of the hand. That's what she's trying to say. Hold on. Alright, let go, right? Do anything. Maybe face me. This. Come. Come this side, Richard. Come on. Everybody, welcome. I'm Master David Bell, and I'd like to welcome you to David Bell's Tang show. Tonight I'm being joined by just senior students, just having a good time. To my left, Mr. Grise, Matt Grise. Okay. Miss Vanna Rao and Miss Belen Puebla. And you guys stay tuned because we'll take it short and we'll be right back. Tree! What do we do? Now that we kick, how long you kick?
4 or 5 years.
4 or 5 years, and I can still grab you by the arm and just take you right on to the van. So to speak. What do we do now? You don't know? Okay. You guys know. What are your comments on it? Since you guys have kind of been there, you know. So what are your comments? How do we address that?
I think personal experience that you can kick and it still be like a drill. You can spar also like it's a drill. But you can really get a sense of what it might be if you come out of your comfort zone a little bit. And sometimes the punches actually do connect a little bit. Not to break something, but you actually do find something. But you get grabbed and don't like it. So then you have to figure out whether you're going to sulk or whether you're going to fight. that was what I went through for a couple of months and realized it doesn't matter when you're standing or on the floor, you just keep kicking.
Then where's the pro instructor to all of that?
Actually getting pretty badly bruised.
While you trying to make up and figure out in your mind, you know, whether you're coming back, whether this is what you really want to do, but you're thinking, well, I'm a blue belt, I'm a black belt, but I don't want to fight like that. I don't want to be knocked down on the floor. I don't want to be dragged around the floor. So it's like, but somewhere in your mind, you want to think that you're a good martial artist too. So it's like, I think is that kind of what brings you back? I don't know.
I think for me it was like a rude kind of, a reminder that you think you know something, and when it's actually tested, you realize that you may be just a little bit better than someone who's never trained, but you think you had 4 years or 5 years of training, but the first time you get grabbed, you realize that you just blank out. So what happened to all those drills and months of training? So I think I kind of realized it's dangerous to walk around thinking you have this red belt on and can actually do something. You actually can't. So few experiences of actually coming out of your comfort zone in a safe environment is just what's probably needed to just get comfortable fighting actually. So you start.
How do you, our setting, because I this is my understanding. I'm 30 years training. When I say 30 years training, just training. I was, I guess, fortunate to the sense that we started off fighting. It was like we were taught drills, but then free sparring was like, I remember when I was orange belt, just got my orange belt. This was the second belt. And this guy was a green belt. I had been watching this guy in drills. He could kick. Guy kicked me. I was this orange belt. I told him, got to see. Master Lee just kind of smiled at me. What? Just kind of smiled. It's like, the first time I had been kicked, this guy kicked me. So I can say from that day, I started to fight. I started to learn how to fight because from that day on, it was no joke. We was training in martial arts. It wasn't aerobics. It wasn't kickboxing, shadow boxing. We were training to fight. There was my experience in Tang Soo Do. Okay? Now with the school, 11 years old, supposedly there's 30 black belts. Is it 30 on the Wall of Fame?
Oh, 30.
Yeah, 31, 32 black belts up there. But I have only about 5 that's allowed me to actually teach them to fight. Somewhere less than 5 out of 30. What does that mean? Now before you say it, there is a strong, so far as me justifying, well, how they get up there, how they get to be black belt. There's all the credentials are there for me to justify issuing a black belt. First, you mentioned how long you've been. 4 years, going on 5 years. 5 years student training. That's one criteria. Okay? The little test ceremonies that we go through, that's testing your knowledge, traditional forms. We have a system of 30 self-defense against grabs, 30 one-step kicks, 30 one-step hand attacks. So all the credentials are there. The criteria has been met. Okay? Now, that's the physical criteria. The mental adjustment of whether you can actually take a punch to come out of your comfort zone, so you say, to really see what you can. that's like that fine line in martial arts schools in the 2000s. You know, I like to think I'm an old school teacher, but still there's that fine line of understanding what the student wants and what the student is willing to do to get there. You know, that's a tough one. I would say eventually you'll get in a fight, but you have to want to know. I don't know. How you're just 17 going on 18, almost 18. So how do you feel about this whole thing now, what we're talking about? How do you feel about that?
Well, I see it as a different thing now that you're talking about it, saying that I've been training, kicking for 4 years, and then right now that it's coming like, alive, that my mind comes like that's not a very good sign to me.
Mm-hmm. So, what do you feel? What do you feel about the future of your identity being a black belt? It has to be about you. What do you feel about your identity, future black belt? You know, because you will say, I'm a black belt. Now, how will you feel about that? You know, will you feel true to it?
If I continue the way that I am right now, then no.
Okay. Can you elaborate on that a little bit for her? Do you understand where? I'm asking you guys because you're seniors. Female, you're senior female. And you've been there where she is. So it was like, okay. And I have females on the wall of fame, black belts, that never been in a fight. I know that they're not true to that belt because they don't even train no more. It was just kind of a trophy place to be. But then I have 1 or 2 females that's just true to the belt and just fight. Knock them down, they fight from the ground, they fight. I don't know. What would you say to her? I don't know. What would you say? What would you give her advice? Maybe, or kind of comment on where she is.
I think she's exactly where I was a few months ago, approximately a year ago, and you just have to continue. And this is exactly what will happen during anyone's training. That you reach a point where someone senior to you, bigger than you, will give you a feeling of, and it checks you every few months. It'll check you. You get checked, and you think, oh, I thought I had that, but I obviously don't. So it's just a case of figuring out what you need to do, as you said. So if I don't have it, what can I do to put it in place? So if you're freezing up at a point, what do you need to do to stop freezing up? Just train more. So like with techniques that become more real as you train in a drill, a fight will get better if you fight more. So I would just say just keep going on.
Now, you're the senior to both of them.
Yes, sir.
And you watch me with students. What do you say to you? What's your comments on this whole new subject matter?
Well, first of all, you have to understand, you got to try to understand what the belt actually means to you. Are you here just to learn how to fight, or are you here to like try to understand yourself more? You know what I mean? Like, as you were saying, like, I don't like, you know, how my training's going, or however you said that. It's like if you get in tune with you, and then you know what I mean. Like the belt will just it won't mean anything anymore. It's just who you are. It's not a belt anymore. It's not something that you know you guys keep referring to as a belt. But if you just consider it like who you as a black belt, as a person, like it'll just all come together. You'll fight. You'll just train. You won't just train for Mr. Bell or your seniors, you'll train for yourself. So just think about yourself when you're in the training. Everything will just come together. Like I was at a place one time, I said, it was like around red belt or blue belt. I said, what is this actually doing for me? Like, it's giving me self-defense, but where is that going to go? And then I'm becoming a teacher, and I'm teaching other people how to fight, and it's just a whole nother level. It's hard to explain, but
Well,
it's just.
I think that's a good attempt, though, because you're taking it deeper than the fight. And I think as an instructor, that's how I would kind of sum it up. And I go back to you, and I ask you again, like I've asked you for years, how did you see me, or how do you see me? And you've always answered, you're just a person that just gets things done. So I say, without, you take the fight, and if you're being taken away or violated in any way, there is no submission to that. You might hesitate to pick the right moment, but you just don't submit to it. You don't give up. You follow me? And it's just like when I asked you about the identity of a black belt, taking on that identity, you look at your life and you say, how many times, how do you carry yourself? Do you carry yourself with excuses for not doing something, which are justified? Most of the time people have excuses are justified. But still, is that the black belt way? Is that the true identity way? Did you get it done? Or do you just come up with excuses? And people, I think it takes a while for people to just start. With me, I just lock in on something that I have to do. Well, we take this show for instance. This is Fremont. 7 years. Probably the longest running community access show in Fremont. And I've had to deal with students. I try to involve the students. But the show is important to the school. But I couldn't do it by myself because I'm always here. It's probably the least to know about cameras and but I've had to involve my students with this. And here's the trick. Students have walked away. The show goes on. You understand me? It's like there's no excuse. You got pull in more students, teach. Take the time. There have been so-called good students or technicians with the show that walked away. The show ran on for 7 years now because I see where it's a good part of the community for the school. So it's just like that was an example of, I believe, of a black belt identity, to hold that together. And just like the school itself. I mean, the school, 7 years of school. You started martial arts school. Tricky business. But that's who I am. So, the school has survived for 11 years. So this is, I think this is a good subject matter because we have here this high level of student and one junior coming into that arena of black belt. And I think it's just, and then we have one that's fresh. When I say fresh in your mind, of determined. It was right up to a point where she is, and then all of a sudden, it turned over. What was that? You know what I mean? It's like I'm pushed against the wall. I either have to take it serious now, I make a decision to take this serious and take it as an identity. What did that bring, though? Once you got through that process, Why I say are being dragged across the floor. I say it where everybody can understand. I speak in extremes. Drag across the floor and then getting over that. How was that? I mean, how was that process? That
Initially it was definitely difficult, but then you kind of clear up why you're there. You're there to train, to learn martial arts, so to learn self-defense. So if at that point, the moment it gets a little uncomfortable, if you want to turn around and leave, you just have to question what you were there for. Was it a weight loss program, or were you there for some kind of serious attempt to learn how to protect yourself? And once that becomes clear, then you don't leave. You just stay and turn back and see how you get through it.
Let me ask you this question, Donovan, and I'll ask you too. How did that transform the rest of your life? I mean, did it have any impact on how you would say see your identity, or, I don't know, on a job, or how did it have any impact on kind of like the rest of your life, other areas of your life, going through that transition?
I think for me, I don't know, even today I think I equate that with a sense of freedom almost, just to be able to go through that, because this has been a pretty important part of my life almost, because I wanted to train in the martial arts. And somewhere along the line, I almost questioned whether I was really learning anything other than just kicking in the air, when I found that I couldn't fight in spite of months and years of training. And then to actually turn around and think that you have some confidence in it, if you can then translate that to other aspects of your life, as you said. Whether it's work, it teaches you that if you persist through something that's uncomfortable, whether it's at work or home, family, children, the boss, it doesn't really matter. If you know that your goal is, that's your goal, and that it's right and it's true and it feels right, you have you have the results to kind of feel good from. The experience is good. The discomfort and then the freedom that I would say that I feel today. So you come out feeling confident. If I had a cafe, I'd say I have more clarity with all my decisions, and I'm confident with them.
You just starting out into the world of
yes, sir.
work
Turning 19.
and stuff, turning 19.
But
just what you've had challenges in school.
Yes, sir.
So that's kind of like been your focus now. Do you think that your training and really having that true feeling of a black belt, do you think that impact your approach to school? Or, I mean,
completely. Like, well, I went through high school, training with you, and it's pretty much grown up with me. And around when I was turning black belt, I was junior, senior, and I was getting school was getting really difficult, and now I'm going into college, and what it brings to me, it brings structure, like structured things, homework.
Structure from a teenager, that word.
Homework, school, and then I recently, getting a job, going out, going to interviews, and it's just what brings actually fighting, what it brings to, it's gonna, if you go down and you keep fighting, that's gonna determine how you are outside of karate. If you're gonna get knocked down by society, how are you going to react? How quick are you gonna get up? So that's just.
You get all with it, huh?
So,
and I've watched it.
Yes, sir.
I've watched it. So, but I'm always saying. So it's a privilege to have you guys here with me and have this discussion and help me with, not just me saying it, but you guys experience it. Because I know how it happened for me when I was coming through the martial arts and the challenges that I had in my life. So I've tried to teach that way. There was no need to change. It worked for me. And I think down at the first Tang Fremont now, I've been involved with about 300 families in the last 11 years. And I've watched a lot, all kinds of scenarios and experiences and situations. It's just been an incredible growth period for me also. And I've learned so much from, I think I've had about 16 different ethnic backgrounds of people, families, and that's been just incredible for me, just growing and then teaching. It's beautiful. So you guys really start to look at yourselves, you're teachers now, absorb your environment. If you can relate it to something good and positive for you in your life, it just makes sense to absorb that and then teach your loved ones. And try to understand it, try to bring clarity to it, and understand the process of it. It's going to be, it's going to tick you off, but that's learning about yourself. And once it comes clear, then it's just yours. I've been talking with her. She's the first student, and I'll say, that I've kind of allowed to somewhat go into a thought of thesis about me and the formula of the school. So I don't know how we're doing on that, but I've been approached a few times. People want to write about me, but never trusted anybody to do so. But trying to create your own formula from your experiences, and always be aware of what you're going through. It's a growing period, so be aware of it and understand it, and then create your own formula. Let's say the same thing for you. Keep that thought. Don't just get locked away in anger when something don't go your way, and then boom, your path of learning just shut down. If that makes sense. You've invested too much. Okay? Too much. So you guys, I just hope you guys have this fraction of the fun and growth that I've had. Okay? Come on. Yes, sir. Come on. You want to end with me?
Yes,
Huh?
sir.
All right, let's do it. If I can answer any questions for anybody, give me a call down at the school. Check us out on the website. What up? Then why are you picking on them little kids? It's a grown man. Come on.